I'd like to ask the three of you, how do you assess the role that the association has played, and obviously that of the victims' families, in affecting the legal proceedings so far? I can start with you.
Sure. I would say that for us, first of all, I again commend the families for their incredible job with the fact-finding report. It is incredibly thorough, and the analysis provided by the various experts was incredibly helpful in forming our submission and our assessment of what possible crimes under the Rome Statute could have happened. And given the difficulty in accessing any information about what actually happened, for us it was incredibly helpful to have this invaluable resource provided by the families.
Great, thank you. And what do you think, Ryan?
I think there's been substantial fruit. I realize that has been born from the association's efforts to date. I won't go into all of it, but I just want to harken back to the early days of our work together, where we were in many discussions, as you'll all recall, with the officials from the Government of Canada, who were, I think, very well-meaning, but trying to understand what the victims' families really sought from this situation. And many times there was a question posed to us, well, what could you possibly want or hope for beyond, some form of compensation paid, which has obviously been a very different frame of thinking than the one we've adopted over our work together over the last years. And I just want to, I haven't had the chance to fully digest the submission that was released this morning to the ICJ, but I do want to take a moment to note that the forms of relief and the case that is being advanced by Canada, the UK, Sweden, Ukraine, is very different and much more in line with the association's aims from the last 4 years. And I don't think that is in any small part because of the tireless work that this group has done. Right now, those 4 countries are asking for declarations that Iran violated the Montreal Convention by failing to take all practicable measures to prevent the destruction of PS 752. It failed to conduct a prompt, effective, independent, impartial investigation. It failed to submit the case in good faith to competent authorities to prosecute. It failed to cooperate with other countries in their own investigations. It failed to report transparently to ICAO. And it's asking, the 4 countries are asking for orders that Iran publicly acknowledge its internationally wrongful acts and omissions, publicly apologize, provide assurances against repetition of the same conduct in the form of future concrete measures that are implemented to avoid it in the future, which will of course involve an area or an element of addressing the military's role in all of this and the command structure. And those are just a few. I'm not going to go on and on, but I think there has been a substantial role that the association has played, and all of the victims' family members in shaping that agenda. I've spoken a lot on this point, but before I stop, I will also just mention one other element that I think we had some success in shaping from a few years ago, and that was the investigation by Dr. Agnes Callamard, the UN Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial summary and or arbitrary executions. And if you have the opportunity to read her report, I would say we met with her on a few occasions to help her understanding of this entire situation. And she released a 40 or 50 page report a few years ago that was, I think, the real first authoritative statement from an international authority in this case, finding that Iran had failed to uphold its human rights obligations in this case. And failed to essentially protect the passengers of PS 752's right to life.
Thank you. What about you, Kaveh?
My colleagues have said everything I want to say, so I don't take much time in answering this. Earlier this morning, some of us were exchanging emails in anticipation of this, and this point was made exactly, which is the families did an incredible job. Had the families not been as involved and as skilled in sort of maneuvering, this application may never have happened. I think a lot of these countries that are involved would have been perfectly happy, and it might have been easier for them, less of a headache for them, to just negotiate with Iran, get some compensation, get some money, and let it go. The families didn't allow that to happen. The families kept emphasizing that they want truth and they want accountability. And the application and all the things that Ryan read those are demands from the families, and they would not have worked their way, I don't think, into the application had the families not been so involved. So really kudos to you.